Imagine surviving 438 days alone in the most brutal ocean on Earth. No food, no engine, no land in any direction. You drink the blood of turtles to stay alive. You watch the only other human with you slowly die. And then, after more than 14 months, you crawl back to land, half dead, finally rescued. You'd expect a hero's welcome, right? Instead, this man was accused of murder. His dead partner's family said he didn't just survive out there, they claimed he ate his friend to do it. This is the true story of José Salvador Alvarenga, the man who beat the Pacific Ocean, broke a world record nobody ever wants to break, and then had to fight to prove he wasn't a killer. Stick around till the end, because the twist in this story is darker than the ocean itself. First, let me put one thing in perspective, so you understand what this man was up against. The Pacific Ocean is so massive, it's almost impossible to picture. It covers roughly a third of the entire planet, more surface area than every continent and island on Earth combined. Drop a person into the middle of it, and finding them again is basically impossible. Vast stretches of it are completely empty. No ships, no islands, nothing but water in every direction for thousands of kilometers. That is exactly where our story takes place. The year is 2012. Our man, José Salvador Alvarenga, is a fisherman in his mid-30s. He's originally from El Salvador, but for years he's been working the Pacific coast of Mexico, hunting sharks out of a small fishing village. He's tough, experienced, and a little bit wild, the kind of guy who lives hard and fears almost nothing. On the 17th of November, Alvarenga gets ready for a routine trip. Just a quick run, out, catch the fish, come back in about 30 hours. Simple. But there's a problem. His usual fishing partner can't make it. So at the last minute, he grabs a young man from the beach, a guy named Ezequiel, barely in his 20s, with almost no deep-sea experience. Two men. One tiny open boat, about 7 meters long. No cabin, no sail, no oars, just a single outboard motor and an icebox for the catch. They had no idea they were about to disappear from the world for over a year. They head out, about 120 kilometers from the coast, and start setting their lines. That's when they see it. A storm rolling in fast across the horizon. To save time, they abandon their gear and gun the motor for home. For hours, they push the little boat as hard as it'll go. They get within sight of land, so close, and then the engine dies. Now they're stranded. They've got a radio, so Alvarenga calls his boss, gives their location, and waits. But the storm is on top of them now, and the battery dies before help can come. The wind starts dragging the boat backwards, away from shore. The coastline shrinks, and then vanishes completely. A search party went out, but by the time it did, the boat was already too far gone. Within just 5 days, the wind and currents had carried them around 450 kilometers out to sea. After 2 days of fog and bad weather, the search was called off. As far as the world was concerned, these two men were dead. So now picture it. 2 men. A boat the size of a refrigerator. And an ocean that stretches forever. Their food ran out in days. Their fishing gear was already gone. They were starving, until a seabird made the mistake of landing on the boat. They lunged for it and missed. But when the next one came, they were ready. They caught it with their bare hands. That became their lifeline. Birds that landed on the boat. Fish they could grab. Sea turtles they hauled up out of the water. They ate everything raw. Water was the real killer, though. Drinking seawater can kill you, so when it rained, they caught every drop in plastic bottles. And when the rain didn't come and the thirst got unbearable, they drank turtle blood, their own urine, whatever kept them alive one more day. But the body wasn't the hardest part, it was the mind. Imagine being trapped in that tiny space, day after day, week after week, with nothing to see but water and nothing to do but wait to die. That kind of isolation breaks people, and it started breaking Ezequiel. the young man began to lose hope. The raw food made him sick. He stopped eating. He gave up. About 4 months into the ordeal, Ezekiel died. Now think about Alvarenga's situation. He's alone, truly alone. Surrounded by an endless ocean, with a dead body in the boat beside him. By his own account, he kept the body for a few days. Even talked to it, just to feel less alone. Then he finally let it go into the sea. And that was the moment he hit rock bottom. He has admitted that he thought about ending it himself. What stopped him, he says, was his faith, and a stubborn decision to keep going. So he built a system. He turned survival into a routine. He caught birds, kept some alive on the boat for company, and even invented little games to keep his mind from snapping. Anything to hold on to sanity in a place where sanity goes to die. Months passed. He drifted through one of the loneliest stretches of ocean on the planet. A region so empty that almost nothing crosses it except the occasional cargo ship. And one day, that's exactly what he saw. A cargo ship on the horizon. The first sign of humanity in months. He waved, he shouted, he did everything he could to be seen. But the ship was too far away. Nobody spotted the tiny boat. And slowly, that ship, and all his hope, sailed off and disappeared. Just sit with that for a second. After months of total isolation, you finally see another human presence. And it passes you by like you don't exist. By the 11th month, Alvarenga had drifted thousands of kilometers. His clothes had rotted off his body. He was sunburned, starving, and barely human anymore. Then, on the 30th of January, 2014, 438 days after he set out, something changed. He started seeing coconuts floating in the water. Birds circling overhead, signs that land was near. And then, in the distance, an island. It took him hours to reach it. When his boat finally got close, he jumped into the water and swam for shore. And after more than 14 months, his feet touched solid ground again. He had washed up on Eben Atoll, a remote speck in the Marshall Islands, nearly 11,000 kilometers from where he'd started. Think about how insane that is. If the wind had shifted just slightly, he'd have missed it entirely and drifted on toward the Philippines, possibly months more at sea. He stumbled across a small house. A local couple lived there. When that door opened and Alvarenga saw another living human being, for the first time in over a year, he broke down in tears. He had done the impossible. He'd become the only person in recorded history to survive lost in a small boat at sea for more than a year. But here's where the story takes its dark turn. At first, nobody believed him. How could anyone survive that long? Alone, on a boat that size. When the authorities arrived, his story sounded impossible. Until his old boss confirmed it. Yes, this man worked for me. And yes, he vanished at sea over a year ago. He'd also crossed into another country with no passport. So after some legal paperwork, he was finally sent home. And then came the accusation. The family of Ezekiel, the young man who died on that boat, filed a lawsuit. They claimed Alvarenga didn't just survive out there. They accused him of killing their son and eating his body to stay alive. Alvarenga denied it completely. He'd promised the young man he would never do such a thing. He even passed a lie detector test. Scientists backed his story too. Ocean current models proved a boat really could drift exactly the way he described, right to that island. In the end, the case fell apart. He was cleared. And he went on to tell his whole story in a book about those 438 days. To this day, José Salvador Alvarenga reportedly lives as far from the ocean as he can get. The water that nearly killed him left scars no one can see. but his story leaves us with something powerful. No matter how impossible your situation feels, no matter how far from shore you've drifted, there is almost always a way back. He had nothing, and he refused to die anyway. If this story gave you chills, do me one quick favor. Hit that subscribe button, because I've got more. Unbelievable true survival stories coming that you won't believe are real. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.